نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. There is a cut-off which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave us with regards to identifying the person who's eligible or obligated to pay zakat on their savings after a year of being in that state of being sahibun nisab. So the quantum is called nisab in Arabic. So that's the quantum which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam identified for us. So it was in gold and in silver. So certain people may just have gold, some people may have silver, and those were the main currencies used then. So then you extrapolate that. So if someone just had gold, then they would just use that, which in current time is about 4,500 and a little bit above that. So that's about 4,500. If someone has in excess of their basic needs, the time that they had it on that date, a lunar date, Islamic date, they become sahibun nisab, and they have to wait for whole year and use as much as they want, whatever is needed to be done for the old necessities, the requirements, responsibilities. And once they have completed the year, which is anniversary of the same lunar date, doesn't have to be Ramadan, doesn't have to be any other month, it could be any time when you actually became the owner of that quantum after all your debt's basic necessities have been fulfilled. So the first time ever a man tends to become sahibul nisab when they start earning and they've paid their debts off, and now whatever is surplus, if that reaches the quantum, then they become sahibul nisab. Now men tend to not just have gold, they hardly ever have gold. It's normally a lady's object, so they normally keep it. So normally the daughters getting married, and then that is the first time they receive some gold, which is about that much or even more. And the day of their wedding, when they receive this gold, they become sahibun nisab if it reaches that quantum. And then a year later, on that Islamic date, not the Gregorian one, they have to pay 2.5% of that gold value. Now, this is only if they had gold. So, likewise, if men just had gold, the people who have gold plus cash plus silver or any combination of these three, they cannot use gold nisab anymore. They have to use silver's nisab. Silver nisab is about 367 point something this year. If someone has this much money and they're adult sane Muslims, then they have to pay zakat 2.5% of all those savings. This is after a year. So if you possess any cash which is about this much, or silver plus cash, or just silver, or gold plus silver, or gold plus cash, then you have to do 367 and keep that as your basic quantum. So if this is the first time you're owner of this much, then you would pay zakat next year for today's date, which is Islamic lunar calendar date, the first Ramadan today. If you already had it last year, whatever date that was, you have to pay zakat on that day a year later. Whatever is in your account, wherever it is, in the bank, in the house, you have lent it to someone, you've saved it in any other form. So whatever assets you have to pay zakat on. Now, personal use items are exempted from it. If you're using it regularly, the clothes, shoes, household utensils. Likewise, a house that you live in, if you bought it, then that is your asset, but it is not zakat able. So you don't have to pay zakat on that. If you have a piece of land which you decided to sell at future date whenever, the price goes up, then that is your asset as well. You have to take the current value of that and pay 2.5% on that. There'll be very, very few people who have, just as a business cattle. So that's a different matter completely. So we'll leave that there. So the bottom line is, if you have 367 pounds, 368 pounds to your account, which is additional to all your needs, and you're not in debt, then you have to pay 2.5% zakat on that to poor people, which must be paid to someone who is needy, someone who fulfills the criteria eligible to take the zakat. They don't own, they do not own quantum of zakat, and they are not your parents or your children. Yes, they can be your siblings. You can give zakat to your siblings, your cousins, all fine. It cannot be your spouses. You can't give it to your spouse. It has to be Muslim. Non-Muslim should receive from 97.5% of that extra savings that you have, because they need help as well. So give a lot of charity to them. But that is nafil, supererogatory. There's no limit to that. I hope that clarifies. Now, one point people normally get confused about it is that, I haven't got this much money for a whole year. I had some, and then there's some which only came last week, or it doesn't matter. You don't have to have every money being with you for a year. You should be in the state of the owner of quantum, the Nisaab, and regardless whether you get a big lump sum of money yesterday or this today, which was a zakat day, you got £5,000, you have to pay zakat on that 5,000 as well. So it is not on the money itself that has to spend a year with you. Rather, you in the state of Nisab had a year gone over, and then you would be paying zakat on each of that. I hope that clarifies, inshallah.